Hey everybody, good morning. I just finished up a case study with a customer I was helping with on some of the logistics initiatives, and one of the topics that was brought up was what is needed to import and export from the United States. So I kind of want to go into that a little bit with you guys, give you an overview about it, and I don't want you to get overwhelmed by this because a lot of these documents that I'm going to talk about that you need, you already have them. And what I would recommend is if you are going to import, you have a couple options, okay? First is there's plenty of customs brokers available that can help you with this and get you set up. Or I've seen some companies where if they're importing product in from Canada, the Canadian company will handle a lot of the customs work. Now, there is a trade-off, I will say, where if it's coming from Canada and they're handling the customs, they might be adding some administrative cost or a buffer in there for those fees because it's work they have to do. So your trade-off is, if you want to avoid some of that, you can do it yourself. It's just a matter of making sure you have the right people that can guide you and give you the documentation you need, because it all depends on what you're importing. A lot of that will drive what is required. So let's dive into it, okay? So if you're going to import into the US, a couple things you're going to need. First, you're going to need an importer of record, okay? And something that means is just making sure you have a tax ID, some additional forms you're going to fill out so you can be an importer of record. So that's the first thing you're going to need. Second thing is a commercial invoice. And you already send these out to your customers anyway when you bill them for products that you ship to them. So a commercial invoice simply says is what the products are, what you're charging them for, what they're worth, okay? Next is a bill of lading. Again, every single shipment you ship anyway, you're giving a bill of lading to that carrier or transport provider, so you have to have something like that, or an airway bill, same thing, okay? Certificate of origin. So the US wants to know where is that product coming from that's in the US. So you have to make sure there's a certificate of origin identifying the country it's coming from. And then last is the packing list. And again, every shipment you ship, every shipment you receive, they all have packing lists, whether they're attached to the pallet, the bill of lading, that's got to be there, okay? Now, some of these things I've listed underneath this line, you know, they might be required, they might not, but it all depends on what you're shipping. So a customs declaration form, all that is that's additional information on the good and the value of the good that's coming in, okay? Import licenses. So we talked about an importer of record. There might be other licenses that you need to have when you're bringing product into the US. You're going to pay duties, taxes, and fees on everything that comes in. That's Uncle Sam's way of saying, hey, you want to bring product in? We have a database of all these items, and they figure out exactly what the cost is going to be that you're going to pay them. A customs bond. So let's talk a little about this. So really all this is an agreement between you and the Customs Border Patrol, and that you're going to pay any fees that are associated with that. And typically what this is any shipment that's valued at more than $2,500, you're going to have a customs bond on it, okay? And the last one, this really is not as relevant because most of the product that's coming to the US from Canada and Mexico is coming over land. But if it's coming via ocean, you need an importer security filing or an ISF, okay? So now let's talk about what some of the difference is between Canada and Mexico when you're bringing products in, okay? So the US and Canada have shared border agreements, and all that simply means is it's less red tape, it's less documentation that you need versus coming in from Mexico because there's more stringent requirements for that product, okay? Mexico, and I just talked about that, so they are a lot stricter on agriculture imports. So if you think about what comes up from Mexico, I really like avocados. I've seen blueberries come up there. They just have a much more stringent process when it comes to bringing food in the US, okay? And the US and Canada, they have free trade zones. And all that simply means is it's areas where product can go in and there's really no interference with Customs Patrol, all right? So now let's talk a little bit and shift a little bit to the export side. And so most of these items that I've mentioned here, it's the same thing you're going to need for the exports, okay? You're going to need a commercial invoice, you're going to need a bill of lading, a certificate of origin, and your packing list, okay? Some of the other things you're going to need is a COC, which is a certificate of conformity. And all that means is it's been inspected by a manufacturer and a third party that whatever that product is legitimate, okay? The other is the DCS, or Destination Control Statement. And all that means is there's certain items that you will find that's on a commercial control list coming out of the US. So they just want to make sure that they want to know what it is that's coming out of the United States. So that's a very brief overview. Again, don't need to know all this. Your customs broker will help you with this and get you set up. You can use a freight forwarder as well. They handle a lot of these types of documents for you. But again, just making sure you're compliant so that way when the time comes and you need that product, you know when it gets to the border, it's going to clear. There's going to be no issues. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe and like. And if you have any other questions, go visit my website at www.hoffmansupplychainadvisors.com. Thanks.